Welcome to part 2 of the top 25 best classic Hollywood movies of all time. Number 25. The Maltese Falcon. As one of the earliest gems to define the film noir genre, The Maltese Falcon delivers a labyrinthine plot, crackling dialogue, and a morally ambiguous world that keeps viewers on edge. Starring Humphrey Bogart as private detective Sam Spade, the film revolves around a fabled statuette that draws con artists, criminals, and duplicitous femmes fatales out of the shadows. While it received 3 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, its real triumph lies in how it established noir's signature style: shadowy cinematography, razor-sharp wit, and a protagonist who never fully reveals his hand. Part of what makes The Maltese Falcon unique is its tight pacing. Director John Huston, making his directorial debut, never wastes a frame. The script moves briskly from one tense confrontation to another, amplifying the suspense at every turn. Another notable feature is moral complexity. Rather than giving us a purely heroic detective, the movie delves into Spade's questionable ethics. He navigates a world where trust is scarce and everyone seems to have a hidden agenda. This tension between opportunism and justice is the driving force behind each twist, turning casual conversations into psychological duels. By the time the titular blackbird finally takes center stage, it symbolizes more than mere treasure. Even decades later, The Maltese Falcon maintains its status as a cornerstone of classic Hollywood crime storytelling, reminding us that sometimes the stuff that dreams are made of can be downright lethal. Number 24. Rebel Without a Cause. Long before teen angst became a fixture of popular culture, Rebel Without a Cause burst onto the scene to give disillusioned youth a cinematic voice. James Dean stars as Jim Stark, a restless teenager struggling with family conflicts and peer pressure in suburban America, while Natalie Wood's Judy and Sal Mineo's Plato embody a similar sense of alienation. Nominated for 3 Oscars, this drama revolutionized how Hollywood portrayed adolescents. No longer just carefree kids, but young adults grappling with deep emotional turmoil. One particularly unique aspect is how the film confronts the gap between teens and the older generation. Instead of neatly resolving these tensions, it presents them as an emotional minefield that both sides fail to navigate. Jim's outrage at his ineffectual father and emotionally distant mother underscores a household on the brink of collapse. Another key element is the palpable vulnerability behind Dean's iconic coolness. With his red jacket and brooding stare, he personifies the mythic rebel figure. Yet beneath that tough exterior lies a yearning for guidance and acceptance. From knife fights at the planetarium to the tragic Chicky Run sequence, every set piece underscores how quickly miscommunication and peer pressure can escalate into danger. Even decades later, Rebel Without a Cause remains a defining portrait of adolescent struggle, capturing the raw pangs of teenage identity and the universal longing to fit in somewhere, anywhere, in a world that seems hopelessly out of touch. Number 23. 12 Angry Men. Few films can create intense drama from a single room quite like 12 Angry Men. This courtroom drama, although most of its action transpires in the jurors' deliberation chamber, earned 3 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. Henry Fonda leads the ensemble as juror number 8, the lone skeptic who dares to challenge the supposed open-and-shut murder case they've been tasked to judge. One aspect that sets this film apart is its claustrophobic setting. The camera closes in on the men as tensions rise, reflecting the mounting pressure and the weight of their responsibility. The sweltering heat, a broken fan, and the abrupt shifts in tempers create an almost suffocating atmosphere. effectively mirroring the moral dilemma at hand. Another distinctive trait is how the movie exposes each juror's biases. Through meticulously crafted dialogue and subtle character beats, we see how personal grudges, prejudice, and indifference can taint the pursuit of justice. Each man's shift or reluctance to shift his vote reveals a layer of humanity, whether it's bigotry, compassion, or sheer stubbornness. Stripped of action sequences or elaborate sets, 12 Angry Men relies purely on performance and script to drive home its message. A single, principled voice can reshape a collective verdict if given room to breathe. Over the decades, the film has become a staple in civics and law classes, but its relevance extends far beyond that realm, showing us that sometimes the scariest battles aren't fought with weapons, but with words and convictions. Number 22. North by Northwest. Alfred Hitchcock takes audiences on a cross-country thrill ride in North by Northwest, blending spy intrigue with a dash of romantic comedy. Starring Cary Grant as advertising executive Roger Thornhill, who's mistaken for a government agent, the film's cat-and-mouse chase earned 3 Oscar nominations and is widely hailed as a pinnacle of the suspense genre. One standout quality is Hitchcock's masterful use of iconic American landmarks. The thrilling sequence atop Mount Rushmore remains one of cinema's most inventive showdowns, emphasizing the grand scale of Thornhill's predicament. Equally unforgettable is the crop duster scene, in which a vast, empty Midwestern landscape becomes a playground for lethal suspense. Another key aspect that sets the film apart is its playful tone. Despite the life-or-death stakes, Grant's suave wit and Eva Marie Saint's seductive charm infuse the story with a lively energy. Their banter, laced with innuendo, adds depth to what could have been a by-the-numbers espionage plot. Throughout, Hitchcock orchestrates near misses and plot twists as if conducting a symphony. Every misdirect or double-cross hits with precision. Even the film's final shot, both romantic and slyly humorous, speaks to Hitchcock's ability to blend thrills with light-hearted moments. More than just a spy adventure, North by Northwest showcases the director's flair for balancing tension and levity, guaranteeing that audiences remain on the edge of their seats 1 minute and grinning the next. Number 21. The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Few films explore the destructive power of greed as grippingly as The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Directed by John Huston and starring Humphrey Bogart and Walter Huston, the film won 3 Oscars, including Best Director for John Huston and Best Supporting Actor for Walter Huston, making it both a critical and commercial success. One unique element is its rugged portrayal of desperation in the harsh Mexican wilderness. The story follows 3 fortune seekers hoping to strike gold. But as they unearth wealth, paranoia and mistrust begin to corrode their camaraderie. Bogart's character, Fred C. Dobbs, transitions from an everyman down on his luck to a man nearly consumed by paranoia, illustrating how greed can break even the strongest bonds. Another standout feature is the father-son collaboration behind the camera, with John Huston directing Walter Huston in an Oscar-winning turn as the pragmatic old-timer, Howard. Their synergy adds an extra layer of authenticity to the film's moral complexities. As tensions ratchet up and allegiances fray, the film refuses to romanticize the pursuit of wealth. Instead, it underscores how obsession can unravel moral compasses. The dusty trails, the looming bandits, and the absence of any safe refuge amplify the film's claustrophobic sense of danger. By the end, the film's iconic lesson about the futility of grasping for riches in a hostile world resonates loud and clear, leaving audiences to ponder whether fortune is truly worth the fight. or the fraying of one's soul. Number 20. Casablanca. When Casablanca premiered, few suspected it would become one of the most beloved romances in cinematic history. Yet here we are, decades later, still swooning over Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. Awarded 3 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Screenplay, this World War II drama captures the bittersweet ache of old flames and moral dilemmas. One of the film's unique triumphs lies in its effortless fusion of romance, political intrigue, and witty banter. In the smoky confines of Rick's Café Américain, the neutral setting of Casablanca becomes a swirling crossroads of refugees, gamblers, and resistance fighters, all while Rick, Bogart, and Ilsa, Bergman, wrestle with a shared past. Another standout quality is the film's dialogue. Each line seems meticulously crafted, from the sardonic quips Rick fires off to the heartrending vows of love that linger between ex-lovers. That impeccable script has gifted us phrases that have echoed through pop culture for generations. Amid the piano playing as time goes by, the film reminds us that courage can sometimes feel as fleeting as romance. Yet in the face of war-torn chaos, Rick's ultimate decision to aid the resistance underscores the movie's central credo: personal sacrifice for a greater cause. The final airport scene, drenched in fog, remains one of the most iconic, summoning hope, regret, and resolve in equal measure. Indeed, Casablanca still proves that when fate and love intersect, it can transform one man's lonely bar into the staging ground for timeless cinematic magic. Number 19. To Kill a Mockingbird. Adapted from Harper Lee's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, To Kill a Mockingbird is a quietly powerful study of morality, justice, and childhood innocence. Anchored by Gregory Peck's Oscar-winning portrayal of Atticus Finch, a role that earned the film a total of 3 Oscars, the story unfolds in a small southern town caught up in a racially charged trial. One thing that sets the film apart is how it interprets adult realities through the eyes of Finch's children, Scout and Jem, weaving their curiosity into the fabric of each courtroom revelation. This perspective heightens the emotional impact, reminding us that these issues aren't just abstract debates. They shape how young minds understand fairness and compassion. Another unique facet is Peck's measured, dignified performance. His closing argument in the courthouse resonates as an impassioned plea for empathy and justice, echoing off the walls and into the conscience of every viewer. Though the film's central conflict revolves around racial injustice, its quiet moments speak just as loudly. Scenes of the children's playful adventures stand in stark contrast to the grim realities of prejudice, underscoring the fragility of innocence. Decades after its release, To Kill a Mockingbird remains a cinematic touchstone for ethical storytelling, still challenging audiences to examine societal barriers. Its message, about the necessity of moral courage in an often unfair world, has lost none of its relevance, and Atticus Finch's example continues to guide generations toward a deeper understanding of what it truly means to stand up for what's right. Number 18. Roman Holiday. At a time when fairy tale romances were a Hollywood staple, Roman Holiday injected a dose of authenticity and spontaneity that continues to enchant audiences. Starring Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck, this effervescent tale of a runaway princess earned 3 Oscars, including Best Actress for Hepburn in her breakout role. One of the film's most notable strengths is its commitment to on-location shooting in Rome. Rather than crafting faux cityscapes on a studio backlot, director William Wyler opted for the real Eternal City, lending the movie an airy sense of freedom that perfectly mirrors the princess's day of adventure. Another aspect that sets Roman Holiday apart is its subtle reversal of traditional roles. Princess Anne may be naive about the everyday world, but she's also determined to taste independence, while Joe Bradley, charming yet conflicted, struggles with journalistic integrity when he stumbles upon the exclusive of a lifetime. Whether it's the zany scooter ride through crowded Roman streets or the hush of early morning walks along the Tiber, the film brims with a delicate balance of humor and poignancy. The chemistry between Hepburn and Peck feels as natural as the sunlit piazzas they explore, culminating in a bittersweet conclusion that forgoes a typical Hollywood ending. Instead, we're left with a lesson about embracing fleeting moments of joy, even when the realities of duty and routine come calling. Buoyed by Hepburn's radiant charm, Roman Holiday remains a timeless postcard from a more hopeful era. Number 17. Sunset Boulevard. Arguably Billy Wilder's darkest satire, Sunset Boulevard offers a haunting peek behind Hollywood's glossy veneer. Starring William Holden as a down-on-his-luck screenwriter and Gloria Swanson as Norma Desmond, a faded silent film star, the picture scored 3 Oscars, including Best Screenplay, Best Art Direction, and Best Score. What makes this film truly one of a kind is its unflinching portrayal of Hollywood's capacity to devour its own. Norma's mansion, a decrepit shrine to her past glory, feels alive with the ghosts of bygone fame. Another notable quality is the film's unusual narrative device. Holden's character, Joe Gillis, narrates from beyond the grave, creating a darkly ironic tone. Rather than celebrating stardom, Sunset Boulevard peers into the psychological toll of a fickle industry that idolizes youthful faces until they fade into obscurity. Swanson's performance is both terrifying and tragic. She glides through scenes in lavish gowns, eyes brimming with delusion, as she clings to the belief that she's still the greatest star of them all. The famous line, "All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up," has become shorthand for the perils of believing one's own myth. Meanwhile, the brooding black-and-white cinematography underscores every shadow Norma casts in her lonely mansion. At its heart, Sunset Boulevard is both a cautionary tale about the corrosive power of vanity and a study in how nostalgia can morph into madness. Decades later, the film's chilly cynicism about Hollywood's dream machine still feels startlingly relevant. Number 16. Rear Window. An exercise in voyeuristic suspense, Rear Window finds Alfred Hitchcock once again toying with audience perspective, this time through the lens of a wheelchair-bound photographer. James Stewart stars as L.B. Poyne, Jeff Jeffries, confined to his apartment with a broken leg, and Grace Kelly dazzles as his socialite girlfriend, Lisa. The film scored 4 Oscar nominations, an impressive testament to Hitchcock's knack for tight storytelling. One of its unique aspects is how the film unfolds almost entirely from Jeff's point of view. He spends his days spying on neighbors across the Ibouitifi courtyard, gradually suspecting a murder has occurred. This limited perspective turns the audience into complicit voyeurs, scrutinizing every window for hidden clues. Another standout element is the interplay between Stewart and Kelly. Her stylish grace contrasts sharply with his grumpy immobility. She's initially skeptical of his wild theories, but her curiosity eventually propels her into the thriller's front lines. As the tension builds, Hitchcock peppers in everyday details, like a songwriter tinkering at his piano or a lonely woman hosting imaginary dinner dates, to create an immersive microcosm of urban life. These vignettes add humanity and humor, balancing the growing dread of potential homicide. By the climactic confrontation, you're acutely aware of the powerlessness that comes from watching rather than acting. Even after decades, Rear Window remains a masterclass in suspense, proving that confinement and curiosity can be a potent recipe for edge-of-your-seat storytelling. Number 15. Psycho before Psycho, audiences had no idea just how shocking a shower scene could be. Alfred Hitchcock's low-budget gamble garnered 4 Oscar nominations, introducing a new era of horror thrillers that challenged censorship boundaries. Anthony Perkins delivers a haunting performance as Norman Bates, whose shy demeanor masks darker impulses, while Janet Leigh's ill-fated Marion Crane sets the film's sinister wheels in motion. One aspect that makes Psycho stand out is its sudden mid-film twist, which defies conventional storytelling by abruptly switching protagonists. Hitchcock skillfully manipulates viewer expectations. Just as you start to sympathize with Marion, her storyline is violently cut short, leaving you reeling in Bates Motel's uneasy silence. Another standout feature is the film's masterful black-and-white cinematography. Rather than hamper the film, the lack of color heightens tension, turning shadows into harbingers of dread that lurk in every corner of the motel. Beyond the groundbreaking shower murder sequence, Bernard Herrmann's chilling score adds an extra layer of terror. Its piercing strings have become an iconic auditory symbol of fear. Hitchcock famously demanded that theaters not admit latecomers, underscoring how pivotal the film's pacing and surprises are to the overall experience. Psycho remains a turning point, not just in horror, but in cinema as a whole, illustrating how subverting audience assumptions can forge entirely new paths in storytelling. Decades later, the echo of that shrieking violin still reverberates in countless thrillers shaped by Hitchcock's audacious vision. Number 14. Dr. Strangelove. When it comes to political satire, few films land their punches as memorably as Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove. Subtitled How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, it netted 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, and remains a benchmark for black comedy that skewers the insanity of nuclear warfare. One reason for its enduring impact is the fearless performance of Peter Sellers, who juggles 3 roles: a bumbling British officer, the earnest U.S. president, and the disturbingly gleeful Dr. Strangelove. Each persona showcases Sellers' comedic versatility, while also highlighting the film's central point. The absurdity isn't limited to one particular person or country. It's systemic. Another distinctive element is Kubrick's stark black-and-white cinematography, which amplifies the tension of doomsday scenarios unfolding in the war room and aboard a rogue bomber. The script crackles with witty exchanges, like President Muffley calmly telling the Soviet premier, "I'm sorry too, Dmitri," revealing how global annihilation is treated as a tedious bureaucratic slip-up rather than an unthinkable tragedy. The war room itself has become iconic, a circular table lit like a bizarre, unholy altar where egos clash over how to handle an imminent apocalypse. By the time Slim Pickens rides the bomb like a rodeo bull, we're in the darkest territory of satire. Yet somehow, Dr. Strangelove manages to keep us laughing, proving that no matter how grim the subject, the right comedic lens can unmask the absurdities that lead nations to the brink. Number 13. The Bad Seed. Released in 1956, The Bad Seed offered audiences a chilling premise. Could a young girl be pure evil? With 4 Oscar nominations, including nods for acting and cinematography, this psychological horror drama focuses on Rhoda Penmark, an eerily polite child whose angelic exterior conceals a terrifyingly manipulative streak. One of the film's distinguishing qualities is the way it challenges the notion of innate innocence in children. Nancy Kelly plays Rhoda's mother, Christine, struggling to reconcile her maternal devotion with growing evidence that her daughter might be responsible for gruesome accidents. Another unique element is how the story slowly escalates the tension through everyday interactions. It's not about jump scares. It's about Rhoda's uncanny ability to charm adults, only to reveal flashes of cold-blooded rage when someone threatens her world. Shot with a stage play's claustrophobia, since it's adapted from a Broadway production, the movie turns domestic spaces into pressure cookers, where each conversation and every glance flickers with the promise of dark revelations. Eileen Heckhart's portrayal of a grieving, guilt-ridden mother from the local tragedy provides some of the film's most haunting moments, underscoring just how destructive Rhoda's presence can be. In an era not known for moral ambiguity, the Bad Seed boldly posed questions about nature versus nurture, and the disturbing possibility that evil could lurk behind even the most innocent of faces. Despite decades of evolving horror tropes, the film retains its power, reminding us that sometimes the greatest terrors come in small packages. Number 12. The Blackboard Jungle. When The Blackboard Jungle hit theaters, it sparked debates about juvenile delinquency and the role of educators in a rapidly changing society. Garnering 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Screenplay and Cinematography, this social drama stars Glenn Ford as a novice teacher who faces a volatile classroom in an inner-city high school. The film's uniqueness lies in its direct confrontation with issues of race, class, and youth rebellion. Unlike the sanitized school environments of earlier Hollywood fare, the chaotic halls here reflect real tensions, student fights, teacher intimidation, and a general atmosphere of defiance. Another notable aspect is the presence of rock and roll. The use of Bill Haley and his Comets' Rock Around the Clock in the opening credits was groundbreaking, giving the movie an edgy contemporary vibe and foreshadowing the impending cultural shift that would define the late 50s and 60s. At the heart of the story is Ford's portrayal of Richard Dadier, a teacher determined not to give up on his students. Among them, Sidney Poitier's role stands out as a pivotal bridge between chaos and order, marking one of the early major performances in his distinguished career. Scenes of violence and racial tension don't pull punches. Instead, they reveal how the students' behavior mirrors the neglect or prejudice they face outside of school. By the time the credits roll, The Blackboard Jungle has both shaken audiences with its gritty realism and challenged them to consider education's capacity to either stifle or inspire change in troubled times. Number 11. High Noon. In an era of larger-than-life westerns, High Noon dared to be lean, introspective, and real-time tense. Rewarded with 4 Oscars, including Best Actor for Gary Cooper, the film unfolds over a nail-biting 85 minutes, mirroring the actual countdown to the arrival of a vengeful outlaw. One thing that sets High Noon apart is its unusual focus on moral courage rather than gun-slinging spectacle. Marshal Will Kane, Cooper, stands nearly alone against a returning criminal who plans to kill him at high noon. Yet the townspeople he's protected refuse to lend him a hand. Another distinctive element is the film's allegorical weight. Although it can be enjoyed purely as a taut Western, many see it as a commentary on Hollywood's then-prevalent blacklist era, emphasizing the cost of standing up for principles when peers choose self-preservation. Grace Kelly brings emotional depth as Kane's Quaker bride, torn between her pacifist beliefs and her love for a man who won't back down. As the clock's hands creep closer to noon, the growing silence in the streets underscores how isolation can amplify dread more than any shootout. The tension peaks in the final showdown, but the lasting impact lies in the film's message about conscience and civic duty. In eschewing grand heroics for gritty realism, High Noon revolutionized the Western genre, proving that sometimes the greatest battle is summoning the courage to act, when everyone else turns away. Number 10. It Happened One Night. As one of the first great screwball comedies, It Happened One Night romped its way into Hollywood legend, sweeping 5 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Actress. The film pairs Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert in a freewheeling tale about a pampered heiress on the run and the roguish reporter who reluctantly aids her. What sets this movie apart is how it helped establish many rom-com staples we still see today. The antagonistic banter, the forced proximity scenario, and the slow burn transformation from irritation to attraction. Gable's offhand charm and Colbert's snappy wit produce comedic lightning in scenes ranging from hitchhiking disasters to a hilarious Walls of Jericho arrangement that preserves modesty in cramped quarters. Another remarkable aspect is how director Frank Capra balances breezy romance with social commentary. Beneath the laughs lies a hint of Depression-era hardship, as glimpses of train stations and an amphitheater diners remind us of the era's economic struggles. The film's triumph at the Oscars signaled a shift in Hollywood taste, showing that unpretentious comedy could garner critical acclaim as easily as lavish dramas. Decades later, the breezy chemistry and quick-fire dialogue remain as delightful as ever, proving that sometimes all it takes is a good comedic set piece and 2 charismatic leads to keep audiences captivated. Whether it's Gable teaching Colbert how to hitchhike or the pair sparring over breakfast, It Happened One Night continues to define what sparks flying looks like in a classic rom-com. Number 9. The Sound of Music. When it comes to soaring melodies and alpine vistas, The Sound of Music stands unrivaled. Scooping 5 Oscars, including Best Picture, this Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, led by Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer, is the epitome of wholesome cinematic joy, and proof that heartfelt optimism can endure even the darkest times. One facet that makes this film extraordinary is Andrews's iconic portrayal of Maria, a lively would-be nun who finds her true calling as governess to the 7 Von Trapp children. Her rendition of the title song and Do-Re-Mi remains a cultural touchstone for generations raised on these catchy tunes. Another unique element is how the movie seamlessly weaves heavier historical context into its buoyant facade. Set on the eve of Austria's annexation by Nazi Germany, the looming threat underscores that even in a world teetering on chaos, hope and family can be powerful anchors. From the sweeping helicopter shots capturing Maria's initial twirl on the mountaintop to the children's heartfelt goodnight farewell at the opulent Salzburg Gala, each sequence brims with emotion. Plummer's stiff Captain Von Trapp slowly warms under Maria's influence, adding a romantic spark that quietly smolders until it becomes undeniable. While the movie might be sugar-coated compared to reality, its message of unity and moral courage resonates. More than half a century later, The Sound of Music continues to stand as a jubilant reminder that even when storm clouds gather, a hopeful melody can guide us toward refuge. Number 8. Dr. Zhivago. Clocking in with an epic runtime and lavish visuals, Dr. Zhivago swept viewers into the turbulence of the Russian Revolution, earning 5 Oscars, primarily for its breathtaking technical achievements like cinematography and costume design. Omar Sharif stars as Yuri Zhivago, a poet and physician navigating the seismic shifts of early 20th century Russia, while Julie Christie's Lara becomes both muse and emblem of love lost to war. One distinctive trait is the film's romantic fatalism. Directed by David Lean, famed for expansive storytelling, it offers sweeping landscapes blanketed in snow that mirror the internal chill between societal upheaval and private longing. Another unique feature is Maurice Jarre's lush score, particularly Lara's theme, whose haunting melody weaves through the narrative to underscore longing and heartbreak. Where many historical dramas focus tightly on the politics, Dr. Zhivago chooses to spotlight the personal sacrifices that come when an ordinary life is upended by revolutionary chaos. Yuri's struggle to remain true to his art and to his family collides with his undeniable passion for Lara, revealing how love can flourish even in a land racked by violence. The film's epic scale, from lurching trains across frozen tundras to the candlelit intimacy of a rural estate, adds cinematic grandeur that underscores each emotional beat. Despite critiques for its idealized portrayal of tumultuous events, there's no denying its lavish escapism and poignant reflection on the fragility of human connections amidst historic cataclysm. Over time, Dr. Zhivago remains a testament to David Lean's storytelling prowess and to the indomitable spark of love in crisis. Number 7. All About Eve. Sharpen your claws and hold on to your seat. All About Eve delivers a backstage drama that brims with jealousy, ambition, and razor-edged banter. It claimed 6 Oscars, including Best Picture, and it's no wonder. Bette Davis's portrayal of Broadway star Margot Channing is an unforgettable tour de force, equally charismatic and caustic. A singular element of this film is how it dissects the concept of fame from multiple angles, offering a multi-layered look at the fickle nature of stardom. Enter Anne Baxter's Eve Harrington, a seemingly devoted fan whose sweet exterior masks ruthless aspirations. Another standout aspect is Joseph L. Mankiewicz's script, which practically crackles with wit, providing Davis a chance to unleash some of the most memorable one-liners in cinema. Who could forget? Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night. As Eve maneuvers her way into Margot's inner circle, befriending her friends, cozying up to her director, and inching closer to the limelight, the tension escalates until everyone's left questioning the sincerity of a smile or a compliment. Celeste Holm, George Sanders, and Marilyn Monroe, in a brief but memorable role, flesh out the showbiz ecosystem, illustrating the many players at work behind every big star. By the time the final act rolls around, we see how ruthlessness often disguises itself in humility. Even decades later, All About Eve stands as a biting commentary on ambition, reminding us that in the spotlight's glow, personal relationships can quickly become pawns in the endless quest for applause. Number 6. An American in Paris. When Gene Kelly's dancing feet meet George Gershwin's timeless music, you get An American in Paris, a Technicolor musical extravaganza that swayed its way to 6 Oscars, including Best Picture. The story follows Kelly's Jerry Mulligan, an ex-GI turned aspiring painter living in the City of Light, and Leslie Caron's Lise, a graceful French dancer who captures his heart. One remarkable feature of the film is its dazzling ballet finale, a nearly 20-minute sequence set against impressionistic sets inspired by French painters. Mixing classical and jazz-infused Gershwin motifs, it pushes the boundaries of what a cinematic musical number can achieve, blending high art with catchy showbiz flair. Another aspect that sets An American in Paris apart is its intoxicating celebration of bohemian life. Vibrant cafes, romantic strolls along the Seine, and an unrelenting faith in artistic dreams. This atmosphere glimmers at every turn, reminding viewers why Paris has long held a mystique for creative souls. Kelly's choreography is lighthearted yet sophisticated, showcasing his signature blend of athleticism and grace. Meanwhile, Karen's balletic training lends an ethereal quality to her dancing, forging a mesmerizing on-screen chemistry. Beneath all the joy, though, lies a subtle exploration of love triangles and class divides. Jerry's patroness, for instance, complicates his pursuit of true romance. By the time the last pirouette concludes, an American in Paris has spun a dreamlike tapestry of color, music, and dance that continues to enthrall fans, proving that sometimes love and art are best expressed through the swirl of a waltz or the leap of a jeté. Number 5. Double Indemnity. When it comes to film noir, Double Indemnity sets the gold standard for hard-boiled dialogue and fatal attraction. Though it ended up with 7 Oscar nominations, yet no wins, its legacy as a pioneering noir is undisputed. Fred MacMurray stars as Walter Neff, an insurance salesman who finds himself ensnared by the sultry Phyllis Dietrichson, Barbara Stanwyck, and her deadly plan to bump off her husband. 2 elements make Double Indemnity shine. First is its frank exploration of sexual tension, rare for the era. Walter's attraction to Phyllis is immediate and palpable, setting off a chain of events fueled by passion and greed. Second is Billy Wilder's masterful direction, paired with Raymond Chandler's biting script, which bubbles over with razor-sharp dialogue. The script leaves just enough unsaid, allowing the smoky atmosphere and telling glances to convey the character's darkest impulses. Edward G. Robinson's portrayal of a suspicious claims adjuster adds heft, especially in scenes where he nearly catches the conspirators red-handed. Each time he prods at Walter's story, the tension deepens, culminating in a final confrontation that cements the film's nihilistic worldview. The shadowy lighting and off-kilter camera angles underscore the moral decay lurking behind neat suburban curtains. Despite its age, Double Indemnity retains a remarkable edge, reminding us that all it takes is one stray spark, in this case, a flirtatious conversation at a doorstep, to light the fuse on a powder keg of betrayal and murder. Number 4. Lawrence of Arabia, sweeping desert vistas, and a larger-than-life protagonist define Lawrence of Arabia, a cinematic epic that stormed the Oscars with 7 wins, including Best Picture. Directed by David Lean, it stars Peter O'Toole in a career-defining role as T.E. Lawrence, a British officer who unites Arabian tribes against the Ottoman Empire during World War I. One of the film's most striking aspects is its majestic cinematography. Endless dunes transform into a shimmering tableau that mirrors Lawrence's internal odyssey, making the desert not just a backdrop, but a character in its own right. Another standout is the nuanced portrayal of the titular hero. O'Toole's Lawrence grapples with conflicting loyalties, thirst for glory, and deep empathy for the people he vows to liberate. Rather than offering a flat portrait of heroism, the story exposes the human flaws and cultural complexities fueling his crusade. Clocking in at well over 3 hours, the film offers sweeping battle sequences and introspective scenes where silence speaks volumes, like the mesmerizing entrance of Sheriff Ali, played by Omar Sharif, emerging mirage-like on the horizon. These slow builds underscore Lean's gift for using grand scale to reveal emotional stakes. The stirring musical score by Maurice Jarre, woven into each scene, adds yet another layer of grandeur. Though some critique it for romanticizing colonial undertones, Lawrence of Arabia remains an apex of visual storytelling, a monument to what happens when a director wields both epic ambition and profound respect for the fine contours of character. Number 3. On the Waterfront, starkly human and unflinching. On the Waterfront swept 8 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Actor for Marlon Brando, earning its place as one of the most influential dramas in American cinema. Directed by Elia Kazan, the film charts the moral struggle of Terry Malloy, Brando, a dock worker and ex-boxer caught in the grip of corrupt union bosses. One aspect that sets this film apart is Brando's electrifying performance. From the famous taxi scene, where he laments, "I could have been a contender," to his raw vulnerability opposite Eva Marie Saint's compassionate Edie, Brando redefined screen acting with a realism that crackles with pent-up anger and regret. Another standout feature is the film's raw location shooting in Hoboken, New Jersey, swapping polished sets for the gritty authenticity of real docks and rundown alleys. That sense of place grounds the narrative in a tangible struggle between exploited workers and the mobsters who profit from their silence. Kazan's direction lets the moral conflict simmer. Terry knows the right thing to do, but wrestles with fear and loyalty to his brother and the men around him. Meanwhile, Karl Malden's role as a fiery priest, urging the longshoremen to fight back, injects a spiritual urgency, emphasizing the cost of staying silent in the face of injustice. On the Waterfront still resonates as a powerful reminder that courage often grows from simple human choices, facing down a corrupt system, breaking the code of silence, and daring to stand alone, even when hope is scarce. Number 2, Gone with the Wind. Few films have matched the cultural phenomenon spawned by Gone with the Wind. This sweeping Civil War epic claimed 8 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Actress for Vivien Leigh, and remains one of the highest-grossing films in history when adjusted for inflation. Centered on the tumultuous life of Scarlett O'Hara, Leigh, and her love-hate dynamic with Rhett Butler, Clark Gable, the film brims with romance, tragedy, and indomitable will. One unique factor is its sheer scale. The burning of Atlanta, the sprawling plantation setting, and the lavish costumes all underscore a Hollywood unafraid to paint on the grandest canvas possible. Another aspect that cements its timeless reputation is Leigh's portrayal of Scarlett. Selfish, flirtatious, yet irresistibly compelling. She embodies a woman who, for better or worse, claws her way through war-torn chaos to preserve her land and status. Though the film has been critically revisited for its romanticized depiction of the antebellum South and its portrayal of black characters, its historical significance in cinema cannot be overlooked. The Oscar-winning performance of Hattie McDaniel as Mammy broke barriers, even as it underscored the era's complex racial dynamics. Ultimately, Gone with the Wind stands as a testament to Hollywood's golden age of epic storytelling, complete with fiery love affairs and heartbreak. Long after Rhett's iconic farewell line, we still remember Scarlett declaring she'll never go hungry again. Proof that the film's emotional heft lingers as boldly as its record-breaking success. Number 1. From Here to Eternity. Steamy Hawaiian beaches, illicit romance, and the uneasy calm before World War II's storm define From Here to Eternity. Garnering 8 Oscars, including Best Picture, this film is famed not just for its awards, but for the sizzling chemistry between Burt Lancaster and Deborah Kerr in that legendary beach kiss. Beyond the publicity that scene generated, 2 elements set this movie apart. First, it dives into the complexities of military life on the brink of global conflict. Frank Sinatra delivers a surprising, Oscar-winning turn as Maggio, a scrappy soldier struggling with a tyrannical sergeant. His tragic arc underscores how personal battles can be just as grueling as any looming war. Second, the film deftly explores the moral gray areas within rank-and-file life. While Lancaster's Sergeant Warden conducts a forbidden affair, Montgomery Clift's Private Prewitt defies pressure to box competitively, reflecting his staunch personal code. Director Fred Zinnemann balances raw emotion and discipline, with the tropical setting adding an undercurrent of both paradise and claustrophobia. That now iconic surfside rendezvous transcends mere passion. It mirrors the restlessness felt by characters trapped in roles they never asked for. Each storyline unfurls against the inevitable approach of Pearl Harbor's bombing, amplifying every fleeting moment of pleasure or defiance. Even decades later, From Here to Eternity resonates as a tapestry of love, sacrifice, and identity. The film's Oscar-winning glow reminds us that sometimes, in the face of life's unrelenting tides, true valor emerges from standing firm in who you are, even when the world around you is about to shatter.